Welcome back, Beans Army, to another episode of the Less is More Sports Podcast, the college offseason podcast, where you could say we're less of the regular season, but more of the offseason. Ryan and I are checking in midweek to talk about something that we both like to talk about. Matt is not joining us because he could care less about these things, but we're here to talk about the spring games. You know, it's our first look at our favorite football teams as we head into the fall. And Ryan gives a very special perspective because he was actually able to go to the Ohio State spring game. And once you see him back on the screen, you're going to see an awesome picture of him at the shoe. So without further ado, Ryan, get into your experience at the Ohio State spring game.
All right, as Les said, I did go to the Ohio State spring game. If you can see here, I that was very early in the game when I took that picture. As you can see, there's 80,012 people there. I'm one of the 12 of the 80,000. I it was a very smooth and slow spring game. Nothing flashy. Only one catch. Um, but it was a very nice day. No clouds in the sky as you can see there. I don't think there were many clouds, but it was a nice 65 degrees and sunny. So it was a perfect day for a good spring game. Um, but yeah, like I said, Ohio State had a very vanilla offense. I don't think they were attempting to show a lot of the flashes yet. We have seen some videos of some splashes in the spring practices, but I'm gonna kind of basically go through a lot of the position groups and what I think of them. Um, they were just keeping in control, and some of these kids, this is the first time they're playing in front of 80K. So I'm sure it was a little overwhelming, but they'll get used to it. They play at Ohio State. Sorry, they play at the Ohio State. For the QBs, we have a five QB man rotation. It's a lot of QBs. One of them may transfer, two of them may transfer. I'm not sure, but it is a lot of QBs. They started off with Will Howard. I think he will be the starter. He looked pretty good. He moving around the pocket a lot. He's a big guy. I kind of say that he's built. I'm not saying he is, but he's built kind of like a Josh Allen body type. Big big quarterback that can run and pass, throw the ball hard. Um, but other guys like Julian Sayin, Aaron Nolan. Julian, he did throw a pick, but he looked pretty good. Or he had an okay day, but he's had a really good spring that they said. Ryan Day said that he was Julian Sayin is in the quarterback starting competition, which is crazy because he's a freshman. He's technically a transfer, but he kind of decommitted, but also transferred from Alabama. Aaron Nolan, he's kind of the fifth guy. He's bur- buried in the buried in the quarterback room. But I think he will make his mark. He was very accurate. He threw one pick at the end of the game, but that was a heave up for a Hail Mary. So I mean, I understand it. That was at the with like 2 seconds left. Um, Lincoln Keenholz had a pick. I know it sounds like I'm saying every quarterback had a pick, but that just shows you. I think that the DBs are for real. Lincoln Keenholz, he didn't do that bad. He did okay. Um, he was trying to sling it to the wide receivers. It wasn't with the ones. It was like the twos or threes. Will Howard mainly played with the ones, and Devin Brown subbed in and out with the ones. Devin Brown looked very good, moving around the pocket, throwing some wide receivers. But I know QBs with Will Howard. I think will start. I don't have to panic. I think it'll be just fine. He took Kansas State to the Big 12 championship with less talent. Now he's got one of the best receiving cores in America. Now to running backs look very.
Before you get to the running backs, I do want to relay the point that Josh Pate made on the late kick the other day, and just to point out the simple fact that it's only a quarterback controversy if you don't have a quarterback, and clearly Ohio State does not have that problem. So I want to make that clear. Ohio State has no quarterback controversy. Proceed.
Yep, I'm a big fan of Josh Pate. He just had an interview with Ryan Day. But on to running backs. Running backs look very good. Obviously, in the offseason, we added transfer running back Quinshawn Judkins. over 2,000 yards in the SEC running back. Ole Miss used them a ton. I think he'll kind of have like that split role with Travion. And in that interview with Josh Pate, right? Actually didn't know that he reached out to Ohio State, but Ryan Day said that Trey or not Travion, Quinshawn reached out to Ohio State and was like, "I'm interested in coming here." And Ryan Day called Travion, was like, "Hey, we have an opportunity to get Quinshawn Judkins. What are your thoughts?" And he said that, and not long after that, he was like, "Great, I think that we could." Or he said, "Whatever makes us better, coach." And then Ryan Day talked to Quinshawn and was like, Travion's not leaving. And he was like, yeah, we'll be a really good 1-2 punch. We'll make each other better, which I think is great. Um, Running backs look very, very good. Quinshawn and Travion had a really good explosive runs. It wasn't a lot for a spring game, but they're just saving that for the season. The young guys, James Peoples and Sam Williams Dixon, really stepped up. They had a couple touchdowns. They were really hard runners, just trying to work with the offensive line. I think it was a really, really good day for the running backs. They had mostly all the touchdowns, I think. Um, Now on to wide receivers. Wide receivers are usually always good. We don't have to worry about the wide receivers. We're we're young this year with Marv leaving with all the spotlight from what Marv got. I can't wait to watch him get drafted tomorrow.
Oh,
Um,
that's gonna be lit. Maserati Marv.
uh, but the standout wide receiver in the spring so far has been Jeremiah Smith. He's had the best spring probably of anyone in on the team. He's really showed some flashes. There's some videos of him making one-handed catch against our
He's the
starting DB.
earliest to lose his black stripe, correct?
Yes, the earliest. I think it was. I don't think it's just wide receiver. I think his earliest player maybe ever since the black stripe tradition started.
That's what I thought. Yeah, he was the
It
earliest
was
player to
like
lose his black stripe.
It was like 3 or 4 practices that he just lost his black stripe. Number one player coming in. Um, Fun fact: I have a picture with him from the first spring game. That is me and Jeremiah Smith. I
That's
was
dope.
walking by and he walked by and I don't usually get nervous around players, but he like took my breath away just how good he was. That sounds really weird, but uh just how good he was. And so I asked him for a picture, and we got a picture. So uh, I'll remember that for probably forever because he's a really good player. But um, they look very good. Brandon Ennis did not play because he had a leg injury, which he'll be fine for the season. But um, and when I was talking about that catch earlier a couple of minutes ago, Emeka Egbuka had an outstanding one-handed catch that was crazy. It was thrown by Will Howard, which I love. Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Day said that he would be limited. He wouldn't see a lot, which I understand that. Don't want to show him off in the spring game. You got to
Nah,
wait for the season. Um, but Emeka had a very like he was injured a lot last year. I think that he will take the huge step, and all the spotlight was on Marvin. Not really many people talked about Emeka. I think that he will have a huge year as kind of the he's the senior. He's the veteran of the group. A bunch of young guys, and Jeremiah Smith did not look like a freshman, by the way. Um, but yeah, we're good on wide receivers. You just got to get on the ball. That's all you got to do. For tight ends, I'm not really huge about like the tight ends. I think we'll be fine with G. Scott Jr. He's a senior, and Jelani Thurman, who's like 6'5", uh, whatever, probably 200 pounds. His body type is very, very good. I hope he can be entered in the play, get some plays for him. Um, On to defense. Defense looked great. The secondary was really making it hard for the quarterbacks to throw and quarterbacks to think. I think the secondary will definitely be one of the best in the country. The secondary was pretty good. They were good last year, and you're adding in Caleb Downs, who was freshman All American, really, really good at Alabama. It was really the DB show. they had 4 picks. That's what I was saying earlier. They had 4 picks, and a couple of them were the young guys. The young guys bring it back. The refs like stopped the play, but it may have been a touchdown. Um, yeah, the young guy stepped up. Lathan Ransom, who got injured last year, he was out for the spring game. We had some young like safeties that were playing, and they were really filling it up. I'm really happy with this DB group. We have 2 new linebackers, but really one new because Cody Simon played a lot last year. He subbed in when Tommy Eichenberg and Steel Chambers, or he subbed in for one of them, but we're losing Tommy Eichenberg and Steel Chambers. They're going on to the NFL draft. I hope everything. Hope it's very good for them tomorrow or over the weekend. Hope they get drafted to, and I hope they're used a lot in the NFL because I think they're very good players. Fun fact: Steel Chambers was a former running back, and now he's getting drafted as a linebacker. So it works out. But the 2 linebackers look very good. I thought the defense was kind of not. They were playing really, really well against the offense. It was a very simple offense. Defensive line needs to be good, and I thought it was good. They were containing the quarterback, making him run outside the pocket. Um, I thought that mainly every starter besides Michael Hall Jr. is coming back. JT Tuimoloau, Jack Sawyer, Tyleik Williams. That'll be huge. Some veteran guys in the defensive line, and we got some depth. We need that depth for the NFL type season. Um, but yeah, overall defense looked very, very good. I think it'll be hard for some teams, for some teams offensives to be able to get down the field with this defense. I expect it to be one of the best in the country. The only issue was the offensive line. I don't know how much it got better from last year. In the Cotton Bowl, it was atrocious. But other games, I thought it was okay. We have to have the offensive line do good for the running backs to be able to run because some games we got no rushing yards and some other games they would play well and we would get a lot of rushing yards. We have 2 really good backs now. We had one really good back last year. It was Trey, but now we have 2 really good backs and Chip Kelly as our offensive coordinator. We have to have them being able to runs and protect the quarterback. I'd still like to get someone out of the portal. There is still time, maybe on the right side of the offensive line, like right guard or right tackle. We'll see what they do, but I this is the only issue. I got no issues with the other rest of the um position groups, but this is the only issue. And for the fun of it, there was some guys there. There was some guys there. By the names of Zeke Elliott was there,
Mm-hmm.
Baron Browning, Denzel Ward, Paris Johnson Jr. Hold on. I need to pull up the picture. Boom.
Look at that.
Paris. Oh, hold on. Sorry, my background doesn't want me to show you.
That's
Come on. Okay, you get it. I got a picture
we
with
got we
Paris.
got a picture of Paris Johnson. Yeah.
Another guy that I got a picture with was Dallin Hayden, who just committed to Colorado to play for Primetime. And then I got a picture with 5-star offensive tackle 2025, Carter Lowe.
Hmm.
So it was a very, very successful weekend. I love going to spring game. Hope I continue to do it in next year's. And I will actually make it out to a game in Columbus this year. I think against Nebraska, I'll be able to watch Dylan Raiola and see what Matt Rhule and Dylan Raiola can do. But I know that was a lot of talking. But yeah, I thought it was a very simple spring game. Nothing exciting, just getting a feel for what the team is like.
So I guess before we move on to some of the other teams that we saw during the spring game, there's a lot of hype going on about Ohio State for next season. Do you think they could live up to the hype based on what you saw in the spring game?
Yeah. See, I'm not a negative person. I think that they could. I just hope that people don't put too much expectation. Um, but yeah, I think that they could be dominant. See, thing about me, I don't like being the number one ranked team.
Mhm.
I'd rather be two, rather be three. I don't want to be number one. Georgia will. I expect Georgia to be number one preseason going into the season. But yeah, I think that they could be. I think they could live up to the expectation. It'll be a lot different with the playoffs this year. It'll be kind of like the NCAA tournament where some maybe Cinderella teams will surprise and beat you. So they just have to come ready. They have to stay healthy, long season, but I think they could do it, and I think they have the coaches for it too.
2024 officially starts now. Ohio State, they had a great offseason, but of course, now we have the rest of the spring up to leading up until fall and see if the Buckeyes live up to some of the expectations. Before we get into some of the other teams, I guess I'll give a quick little rundown of my teams real quick. Obviously, I'll start with Duke, and I'm going to start with a really lame, cheesy pun here, so just brace yourself for this one. But I really love seeing the quarterback battles officially in the Manny Diaz era, duking it out. Sorry for the lame, cheesy pun here, but basically Malik Murphy and Grayson Loftus let it rip like Beyblade. I do think Malik Murphy is eventually going to be the starter, but he just looked like a guy that is still getting used to the team, which is to be expected. He's a transfer from Texas, so my other team, ironically enough. But I think he really showed a lot of good throws out there. So some really special arm talent that I've known that he could have. So yeah, I think once he gets familiar with the squad, I mean, I think he'll be the guy. I would have liked to seen Peyton Jones run the ball a little more. They didn't really run the ball too many times. Again, it was pretty much 7-on-7s for most of it. But Peyton Jones, he was a star in last year's spring game. Could have a much bigger role on the team this year. So yeah, that's what I look for, and that's what I've noticed about Duke. And of course, Texas. And a lot of y'all watching on the YouTube channel probably are wondering why my name is Three-Star Recruit. Well, the big rumor heading into his recruitment was that if Arch Manning's last name wasn't Manning, he would be a three-star recruit. Well, I think that narrative is officially put to bed after about 350 yards and 3 touchdowns later in the spring game. Arch Manning has officially arrived. And I know there's a lot of talk of, oh, now people are jumping on the bandwagon and he should be starting over Quinn. No, Quinn's the starter. Let's pump the brakes a little bit on that. Um, Sark already knows who his guy is, so he wanted to show the spotlight on some other guys, and that's where Arch Manning and Trey Owens came in. And I think they definitely really played well. One thing I will say I am worried about more than anything with the Texas is that their secondary still worries me a little bit, but there could be some rumors of some incoming transfer portal guys, like maybe a Cormani McClain, like maybe the kid from Arizona. We shall see. But anyways, Arch Manning, can we please stop the narrative that he would be a three-star recruit if his last name wasn't Manning? That is clearly asinine. And then, of course, last but not least, my closet team, the Boise State Broncos, who absolutely won all the spring games when 6-year-old Derek Weston ran into the end zone. For those who don't know, Derek Weston is battling, I'm going to butcher the name of this condition so bad, and I apologize, but polar leukodystrophy, I believe it's how it's pronounced, but I could be wrong. But anyways, he suffers from a condition that affects the white matter of your brain, but he was the quote unquote impact signee and got to score a touchdown for the Boise State spring game, and that was one of the best traditions we saw in the spring game. So shout out to the Boise State Broncos. Shout out to my man Derek Weston,
Shout out
and
to Derek.
shout out to Derek. That's right. And that wraps up my squad. So let's get into the latter part of this podcast. Ryan, what you said you watched some other spring games. What were some of the other ones that stood out to you?
Um, I didn't really watch the Penn State game. I just saw this 2-minute video. Let's be honest, it's gonna be harsh, but Drew Aller looked
I'm
terrible.
here
All
for it.
right,
I'm here for it. Be as harsh as you want.
I don't think Les originally saw what Drew Aller did until I sent the link in the group chat, and then he just sent dot 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 back. He had no reaction. Drew Aller looked really bad. The 2-minute video was just shown of him just missing wide open, not wide open, missing receivers in stride. He has a whole year under his belt, but okay, I'm not gonna completely bash him. I don't think Penn State fans should really panic. I think that they're fine. That he is still is the rest of the spring, some summer, a little bit of fall. I consider kind of August the fall, but I think he did look really bad in the spring game. a lot of missed throws, but I think it'll be fine for them. They still have really good running backs. They'll have a good defense. They're losing some guys, but they'll reload. And they did lose Manny Diaz. I'm not sure how big of effect that will have. They'll just have. Oh wait, they got Tom Allen as their new defensive coordinator. Maybe it was Tom Allen's defense that was making Drew uncomfortable. Former Indiana coach.
Pence better
Uh,
hope that's what it is because all I'm gonna say is, you may not want to be harsh, but I am gonna be freaking harsh because I'm not gonna lie, Drew Allard did not look like he was comfortable back there at all. He looked like he was going through a mental health crisis. And all I'm gonna have to say is Pribula, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, and Ethan Grunkmeyer, I hope they're ready. Because if that's a sign of things to come, because I was not impressed with anything I saw from Drew Allard last year. And if that
no,
is a sign of what this season is has in store for Penn State, they are in trouble. So
yeah,
again, Bo Pribula, Ethan Grunkmeyer, y'all be ready because I don't know what the hell that was, but
yeah.
it was not quarterback play.
It seemed like Drew Aller did not step up in the Ohio State game nor the Michigan game. Michigan just kind of rolled past Penn State by running the ball like 30 times in the second half, 30 straight time or something like that. But he had a kind of underwhelming year. Didn't do that great. Penn State needs him to take a big step because of the new teams. Well, I think the only like really really good team and tough opponent that's coming in to the Big Ten is Oregon. I don't think USC is tough, and USC fans think that they're gonna own the Big Ten now, and so do Oregon. But they need Drew Aller to be able to beat the teams and be on the level. So it was a terrible day, but you know, for Penn State's sake, I hope that he just puts work in the offseason and is their starting five quarterback that they had or was coming in to Penn State as a freshman, but sophomore freshman.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was
Anyways,
terrible.
did you? There we go. There it is. I like it. Did you catch any
Um,
other spring games?
I didn't. I was working during the Michigan game. I know that it'll look and feel a lot. I think it'll look and feel significantly um different just as because of Sharon Moore is the now head coach. Fun fact, Mike Vick was there, so that was kind of cool. And so was an Ohio State basketball player that committed. But we will talk about that next episode.
Yeah, we're gonna
Um,
definitely talk about that next episode.
but Alex Orji was the main quarterback, and I know that they were tackling, and I don't want to. This is not a hit on him. It's more of a hit on them. I think that potentially because they were tackling was because of or made Rod Moore, their starting safety, get hurt. I think that could have been the reason that he got hurt. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I sound dumb, which I really hope that Rod Moore gets healthy and is able to play. But they were kind of messing with us because we didn't tackle. Maybe it was a sign. They did tackle I think the whole game. Um, and maybe it looks bad on us, but we do our own thing. They do their own thing. We were only really tackling with the second and third group. Tackling it was like two hand touch with the ones. But yeah, I think Alex Orji he looked okay. I don't think he overly like overly like wowed me. I think he had a rushing touchdown, and I think the defense will be very very good still. We'll just have to see with them. It'll look different. Losing a lot of guys. Donovan Edwards though stayed, and he'll be very good. They need him to be very good, but defense line will be very good too.
Fair enough. And any other spring games you get to, or
No, I don't. I only saw stats from the Texas game, which Arch Manning looked really good, and I just
Mhm.
noticed that I didn't put two and two together that Malik Murphy went from your team to your team.
Yep.
I didn't put that together, but I think Quinn Ewers will obviously still be the starter, but they'll have probably maybe the best backup in college football in Arch Manning, one of the Manning. I didn't really get to any other spring games. I Ohio State spring game wasn't like Oklahoma last year that finished like 60 something to 60 something, which is
Right.
crazy. I don't know how I would feel about my team after that, but yeah, I thought that this I love the spring games. I hope I can continue to go to them, but it was just a very simple spring game, nothing flashy.
The
But
main
yeah,
thing about the spring games is it just gives the fans a first look at what the team's going to look like next year. You're not going to see the full product. You got to take everything you see with a grain of salt. But
yeah.
I guess with 10 minutes to go, I got to get into one of my hot takes from that I saw from the spring game. And my big hot take is if I'm a fan, I would be more worried about Alabama's offense. I mean, Alabama's defense heading into this year than I am USC's. And the reason I say that is because USC, we know they have issues on that side of the ball. And from everything I've heard about reports about who they brought in as the new defensive coordinator, who they're trying to bring in through the transfer portal, they are working to fix the issues that they have on that side of the ball. It's going to be a process, but we know that. Alabama, that's not something we're used to worrying about with them. And when I watched their spring game, they had a lot of fundamental tackle issues. So if I am an Alabama fan, you might have to be a might be a little I might be a little worried about what we're going to see on that side of the ball. If Kalen DeBoer, he's an offensive minded head coach. He's a very good head coach. I think he'll do fine at Alabama. But year one on that side of the ball might be a little rough unless they fix those fundamental tackling issues that I saw in the spring game. So that is my hot take for this podcast is that I am more worried about Alabama's defense next year than I am USC's. So that was my
I
hot take. Had to get that out of there.
I forgot that I saw some clips of that, and I thought the defense looked atrocious too. Um, I think the offense will be very good. At Jalen Milrow will be good. Just them. Nobody expected Nick Saban to retire. I don't think I mean, he's getting older, but not
There was
this
there
year.
was some there were some rumors. There were some
Yeah,
rumors. Matt and I talked about it on the show. There were some rumors.
yeah. Um, but I didn't expect him to go at that time that he did. It was it really. I'd like to say this. I don't like. You all know I don't like Michigan. They've had. It seems like they've had so many distractions for people to not think about how they won the national championship. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like a lot of people forget. Nick Saban retiring is a big hit. News college football game, transfer portal. It's every year, but there's been so many distractions. But
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, I'm not really sure how they'll be this year. I don't know how to feel about it. I think that Georgia will win the SEC.
I think it's going to be between Georgia and Texas, but that's just me. Maybe
Oh
that's the
yeah, yeah,
Texas
yeah.
fan in
Sorry,
me.
sorry. I forgot about Texas. It'll be between them two.
Well, you didn't have to say that because I said it. I promise you. But I mean, no,
No, I
that's
actually
just who
forgot.
I think. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a
But
lot of changes going on in college football this year. A lot of teams heading to new conferences, and I mean, yeah, it's going to be exciting. But yeah, that I think that wraps up everything we have to say about the spring game. With since we got about 6 minutes to go, I do want to fill the fans into a little challenge that Matt Ryan and I have a little going on off the camera right now. As you all know, the NFL draft is tomorrow at I believe what 8 o'clock
yeah, I
Eastern
think
time.
so.
Okay, just make sure because I completely forgot the draft was this week, as did apparently a lot of people I know. But
Yeah,
just to
I
fill
didn't.
you all in, even though that we are a college offseason podcast, we do have fun with other things going on in the world of sports. So Matt Ryan and I have predicted our who's going to be the top five picks of tomorrow's draft. So Ryan, should I read them off?
Yeah, I think
All
you
right,
want.
so I have it saved. And let us know in the comment section below who do you think is going to be the most accurate here.
To be
So first,
honest,
what's
sorry.
up?
To be honest, mine was gonna be like Matt's, but I knew I had to change it up because we couldn't be the same.
That's fair. I'm
But
not
go
gonna
on.
lie. I didn't want to have the same as your alls either, so I understand.
Yeah.
So I'll start with the guy that can't defend himself right now, Matt. His top five right now, he has the Bears taking Caleb Williams. Spoiler, I think we all have the Bears taking Caleb Williams at the number one spot. But then number two, he has the Commanders taking Drake May. And he put in parentheses that they pissed off Jaden Daniels too much. So that was that. Um, Number three, he has the Patriots taking Jaden Daniels. Number four, he's got the Cardinals taking Maserati Marv. And then he has a trade at the number five spot. Vikings and Chargers swap. Vikings take JJ McCarthy to shock the world. His words. Now for Ryan. And he said, and I quote, I don't know if mine will be close at all, but it would be cool. So here we go. Number one, Bears, Caleb Williams. Like I said, we all got the same. We're all the same on that. Number two, Commanders, Jaden Daniels. Three, Patriots, JJ McCarthy. Number four, Cardinals, Maserati Marv. Number five, he's got the Chargers taking Joe Alt, the offensive lineman out of Notre Dame. And now finally for yours truly, shocker, Bears, Caleb Williams. Number two, I have the Commanders taking Michael Penix Jr. Number three, I have the Patriots taking Jaden Daniels. Four, shocker to no one, Cardinals taking Maserati Marv. And then number five, I have a trade. I have the Chargers trading their pick to the Raiders for Drake May. So you let us know in the comment section below who do you think is going to have the most accurate predictions, but we will find out Thursday and who is right between the three of us.
I certainly can't wait to watch it. I think after the first pick, it's just all controversy. It was kind of like last year. Texans didn't know if they wanted to draft CJ Stroud. Obviously, it was the right choice.
Obviously.
But after I think Caleb and the Bears is pretty much a lock. Um, I do think it's kind of funny sometimes that obviously I know that the team's looking for trades, but when the first team with the team with the first pick gets like 5 minutes to think about, I bet sometimes they're like, we've known all off season that we're gonna trade or that we're gonna draft blank. We're not gonna trade. Caleb Williams, pick is in. Roger Goodell walk out to the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he is pretty much a
Teams with
lock,
the
but
number one pick who like use all the time are just D bags at this point. They know who you're gonna take. Come on.
they are. I remember with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Like he was a lock to be number one pick. Come on now.
Yeah. He threw 60 touchdown passes in college. He had the one of the best single seasons in college football history. Not the best, in my opinion. That's Cam Newton, but that's a topic for another day. But
Yeah.
again, yes, I think we all know Joey Shiesty, Joe Burr was going to be number one. Joe Burr.
Hope
Matt's
he.
jealous. Matt is jealous because he can't do that. He's a Spanish major who can't roll his R's. That's just wild.
I think I can do it with like other words, but not Joe Burr.
Joe Burr. Say it, Bean. You got it.
Come on, Bean.
You got this. I think Bean's mad because he didn't let he wanted to draft the team. Yeah, he's not happy. Yep, he's leaving now. Bye.
He probably has Caleb Williams the number one pick too. But
Knowing him,
but we'll leave it up to
probably
him.
has. Knowing him, he'll probably have Michael Penix Jr. because he likes those team. He likes those quarterbacks that come from like, oh, he's back. What do you got? He's got something to say. Basically, he's telling me that both Michael Penix and Rome Odunze will go in the top five.
Yeah. Um. I will. It'll be me, my dad. I've mentioned him on here before. His friend Steve and my uncle AJ. They're at Roosters, 8 p.m. watching the draft. Um, my uncle AJ is a Broncos fan, so that'll be interesting to see who they draft. I know they just got Zach Wilson. They have the 12th pick. They could trade. They could do whatever. I don't know. We are excited to see what they do. It'll be
I
a
will
very interesting
probably
draft.
I will probably be in the gym. Not even gonna lie. And just
Fair
knowing
enough,
me
you know.
because I'm a loser. But anyways, we got less than a minute, so we got to wrap this up. So as always, like and subscribe to Less is More Sports YouTube and Spotify channel. Be sure to follow our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Threads. It's at Less is More Sports. And we hope you enjoyed this episode. But until next time, me and Ryan are officially out, and there is that picture where him and his dad swap heads.
No, this is actually my body right there. I don't know if you can see that. This is my dad and this is me.